Hello and welcome to Spotlight On. I'm your host, Jeff Merritt. The Virginia Tech Carilion Research Institute houses 25 interdisciplinary biomedical research teams working to understand and treat disease. Their leading facilities advance biomedical research, serve as a hub for interactive functional human brain imaging, and much more. Here to tell us about the Institute is the founding executive director, Dr. Michael Friedlander. Dr. Friedlander, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
So why don't we start off with the basics? Can you just tell us a little bit about the Institute and the type of work that you do there?
Sure. The Institute started about 7 years ago as the brainchild of the then leadership of Virginia Tech and Carilion Clinic, Dr. Charles Steger and Dr. Ed Murphy. And it developed as a public-private partnership, and we were given the wherewithal and the opportunity to create something different from what had been done around the rest of the country, to bring together a lot of very bright, creative people to work on some of the most contemporary problems in health and biomedical science. So we rolled up our sleeves, we got going, we got a great new facility given to us by the state, and went out to identify and recruit really top talent from all around the country, all around the world, in fact. And over those 7 years, we've assembled about 25 research teams, about 300 to 325 people working in the Institute now, and another 100 or so students also working with them and getting training. So we're off to a great start. We're focusing on a couple areas that you mentioned, such as brain research and cardiovascular disease as two exemplars, and we're continuing to grow. We're ready to go with a new building coming up really soon.
That is exciting. And so before we get into the new building, tell us a little bit about the growth that you've seen there. Certainly the students that have been coming through there and the research that you're doing. Any particular major breakthroughs or anything that you're particularly proud of?
Yeah, there are quite a few. Not enough time to cover them all, but I'll just highlight one or two. We have a tremendous program in neuro-rehabilitation. That is rehabilitating children's brains after injury or stroke. Cerebral palsy results in about 10,000 new cases per year. Almost 1 million people in the United States have cerebral palsy, and those children often have had a stroke at the time of birth. And so we have a research program that's come up with an exciting new way to rehabilitate the damaged part of the brain and allow those children to have virtually normal lives. So we're very excited about that. We have another group that's made a major discovery to come up with a precise, objective way to measure autism and diagnose it in young children. And then we have some other really spectacular advances in breast cancer research, coming up with a new way to identify what exactly goes wrong with the BRCA1 mutation in breast cancer, and also in cardiovascular disease, new ways to think about how to prevent sudden cardiac death. Those are just a few of the areas that we've really made incredible progress in a short time.
No question about it. That is very impressive. And so you were mentioning earlier a new building and growth and expansion. Talk a little bit about, not just, what's in the near future, but what that building will hold and what we can expect.
Yeah, well, we've pretty much filled up our space. We're more or less tripping over each other, but it's a great problem to have. So we now have the opportunity to take it to the next level. So this new building that we just broke ground for yesterday and should be ready in a little more than 2 years from now will enable us to grow the programs I've already mentioned and to grow into some new areas. So a couple of the areas we really plan to grow in is an area of addiction and behavioral health. Most people aren't aware that over 50 cents of every dollar spent in the United States on healthcare is attributable to something we cause ourselves, that we inflict on ourselves, our own behavior. So the science of understanding that behavior and modifying it is a very important part of the future of healthcare. And we have some of the top researchers in that area related to substance abuse, addiction, obesity, overeating, not enough exercise, etc. And another area we're moving into is something we call biomaterials and body-device interfaces. That is the science of materials interfacing with our living bodies, replacing organs, damaged tissues, apps and things we can wear to serve as sensors, diagnostics, communicate with our healthcare providers. So the future is both a combination of building on the successes we've had and growing in new areas and giving us the space and the opportunity to attract even more research teams into the VTCRI.
Excellent. Well, congratulations on everything that you've accomplished so far. Clearly a lot of things to be very proud of and what you have in the future. And thanks for coming in to tell us a little bit more about it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yep. For more information about the Virginia Tech Carilion Research Institute, you can check out their website. For Spotlight On, I'm Jeff Merritt.